So wonderful to see everyone again. Today we are continuing with His Eminence Thrangu Rinpoche's text, Tranquility and Insight, which is a teaching on shamatha and vipassana. And we've completed the shamatha section, and we are beginning the vipassana section. So last week I gave an introduction to why we study Vipassana, why it's so important. And essentially we're talking about the purpose of meditation from our perspective is liberation for ourselves and all sentient beings. So with shamatha practice, we stabilize our mind and learn how to bring our mind into focus. But that's not liberation. Liberation comes from understanding the roots of suffering, the causes of suffering, and completely dispelling those roots. And that exploration happens in the Vipassana meditation, which is sometimes called analytic meditation. So if we were to look at, say, the long view of the practice, there would be shamatha, vipassana, then shamatha, vipassana together, and then mahamudra or dzogchen. And it's presented as progressive stages of understanding emptiness because we might want to jump into mahamudra or dzogchen, but without the foundation and the stages of understanding emptiness, it's still, for most people, an intellectual understanding. And our intellect, that innate belief in self and other, keeps interrupting a complete abiding in emptiness. So it's very helpful to work with emptiness in a progressive way. And actually, it's the title of a book, The Progressive Stages of Emptiness. Is a wonderful teaching by Khenpo Gyamtso that is a pith instruction. So I recommend that book as well. So in Thrangu Rinpoche's text, he lays out the progressive stages. And first he gives an overall description of them, and then goes into more detail about some of the Vipassana explorations. So the first stage, and we talked a little bit about that last week, the first stage is the common stage of Vipassana. Common meaning it's shared by many traditions, and these days it's also shared by psychologists. There's a sense of encountering our afflictive emotions and learning how to stabilize our mind and learning the most obvious layers of anger and addiction, we might say, and how to work with them. So we deal with that in many of our meditation retreats. We look at the anger arising, and then how to work with the arising motion, how to see the
just take it.
See the escalation of it, etc. So this is not unique to Buddhism, let's say. It's something that's commonly understood, but it is a kind of exploration, analytic exploration. Then there's the stage that we call Shravaka exploration. And this is interesting in that it's the foundation level of Buddhism, the early Buddhist understanding of emptiness, and it's a real focus on the Four Noble Truths. And it's very helpful because it takes things just as we're experiencing them. So I'm sitting here at my desk and I'm looking at my printer, and it is out of ink. I can see pretty clearly that the printer is old, that the printer is not functioning anymore, and there's a reason that the printer's not functioning, and that all of these office electronic things have a shelf life, and it's impermanent, so it's on its way out. So there's a focus on the Four Noble Truths with the understanding of impermanence, but particularly just seeing the world as it is a very unconfusing way that when we don't understand impermanence, we can be upset and frustrated. Like I could be frustrated that the printer is broken, that it's out of ink, that I can't get my office work done today. But with impermanence, very easy to see, not a problem. The afflictive emotion of it, frustration, is easily dismissed. So particularly the way things are worded, it's very important not to think of, when we hear of this stage, that it is associated with the understanding of early Buddhism. It is associated with early Buddhism and the Four Noble Truths, but the capacity of that tradition to understand the vastness of emptiness is interdependent with practice and realization in practice. It's not a group of people. So if our level of understanding is impermanence, then we're in this category of understanding, and we're looking at things through this foundation presentation of what emptiness is. So it is not a group of people, not a whole classification of Buddhism, but a realization level. So we're looking at the Four Noble Truths, the truth of samsara, the patterns of suffering that we're experiencing. We see and connect that to karmas and our afflictive emotions. And we contrast that state of suffering with a state of peace, which we call nirvana. And the practices associated with this are looking at how the ego is connected, that quality of me and my. So this is my printer. It's making my office work, my immediate want more frustrating. So it's all associated with me and mine. So we look at where is this I or ego located? Is it the body? Is it the mind? But we can see that as long as it's an intellectual understanding, it's very limited. Like if somebody was to pinch me, it would still be my body that's hurting, and I would be perceiving it as an I, even though I understand intellectually something about no me and no my. So then we keep going. The Mahayana understanding of Vipassana is not working exclusively with the me and my, but seeing the relationship of internal and external phenomena as empty of inherent nature, so it's not, we understand that the causes of suffering aren't only dependent on our ego, but it is a relationship of internal and external phenomena, and the nature of that internal and external phenomena are empty. And the, let's say the Vipassana exercises now start to focus on dependent origination. So first we were focusing on impermanence, and it was pretty much our concrete, the way we've all been brought up in our cultures to see what in front of us as this is a printer, it has a function, it should work. And if it doesn't, I get upset, as opposed to the emptiness of the printer and the emptiness of the me and my that is experiencing the printer. And this is really fun. There's some classic exercises that help us understand this. So we're seeing the world, and we think the world has a reality that's existent. And this is the part of the exercises where we start to see not only is the I illusory, but everything that is perceived as illusory. And again, I really recommend working with these exercises directly and just really setting them up and thinking about them. So one of the classic exercises, I'm going to show you my implements, is the moon and water. You see that in the Tibetan tradition, you see that in the Chinese tradition, something is like the moon and water. Or today is a sunny day. If you were to just go out, in Maine, we're all near ocean water. And if you were to look at the sun reflecting in water. So it's looking at a reflection arising due to causes and condition. So if you wanted to do the moon and water at home, I recommend like an iron skillet, filling it with water and then taking it outside and looking at the moon arising in that skillet. And so you clearly see a reflection of the moon. It is right there. But when you try and find that reflection, if you were to touch it, or if you were to move, or the frying pan were to move, the reflection would move. And so it is a complete teaching about causes and conditions. So we can see the frying pan, we can see the water in the frying pan, we can see that the reflection is illusory. Or if we go out and we're sitting on a dock, we can see the reflection of light on the water, and we can see that it's moving all the time. And if we were to put our hand in, there'd be no object there to touch. So this then points to all of phenomenal reality. I'm looking at the printer, but if I were to start taking the printer apart, trying to find what is the essential nature of the printer, where is, it's okay, there's the lid, there's the paper drawer, there's the ink. It's all causes and conditions coming together, making a printer. All causes and conditions coming together to make the moon and water. So we're starting to break through our assumption that what we're perceiving is what we think it is. It's not that it's not there, it's just not what we think it is. So then it gets really fun and interesting. In his second example, which is really lovely and helpful, is, all right, let's look at it a different way. This is a piece of paper. It's a common piece of paper, right? Just a simple piece of paper. This is a piece of paper. This is a 10 rupee note. It has, to me, about a value of 2 cents. To you, it might not have any more value than this piece of paper because you're not likely to go to India. And it's not in your hand, it's only pixels. So it has value to me because my mind is perceiving it in a way that gives it value. Okay, then let's look at this piece of paper. This piece of paper is it's called yuan note. So I'm not likely to go to China again. I passed through China in the airport. I have no idea what 1 yuan is. For me, this, it's pretty, but other than that, it doesn't have any more value than this piece of paper. So I can just rip it up, and there's no sense of loss. It's no different than taking this. Actually, this piece of paper is more valuable because I could have used it in the printer, but not really a sense of loss. It all has to do with how is my mind perceiving paper? What value is my mind creating, making it important, not important, value, not value, loss, not loss. Okay, here is a Canadian $10 bill. I'm not going to rip up a Canadian $10 bill. I border Canada. I could really easily cross the border and use this. So I'm not going to rip up this. But this has a different value to me than this piece of paper that I know is maybe less than 2 cents. I may or may not go back to India. So they're all pieces of paper. So we start to see that all of the ways we name, label, and then ascribe meaning, it's all being generated by our mind, completely generated by our mind. So we're looking out at phenomena. It's a beautiful sunny day, and I'm ascribing value to that beautiful sunny day because I have a preference for the beautiful sunny day. And, those of us who live in Maine know, they're rare. Soon it's going to be cold and dark and dreary and gray for months and months and months. So there's a perception of joy of this day being nicer to me. So all of the ways we're working with the phenomenal reality don't have an inherent existence. They don't have an inherent value. Our mind is generating. It's not that it's not, I can touch the printer. I'm not saying the printer is not arising. I'm saying it's not arising in the way an uncritical mind would approach it. So we're starting to work with analysis to see how are we creating this illusory world in a way that it causes us suffering, in a way that suffering arises for all sentient beings. So I'd like to sit and invite you to let's just sit there. And probably everybody has nearby either a wallet or a piece of paper. And just to sit with this and look and think about how the meaning of this piece of paper or this $1 bill you pull out of your wallet, all is being generated by your mind. This is not in the nature of the paper itself. For us sitting here, this paper and this paper actually have the same value. If we were in India, this might have a value of 2 cents. And if I could put this in the printer, it would have a value, if I was printing something at Staples of, right now, probably 25 cents. But this is all collectively generated and individually generated. All the meaning and, the moneyness, the rupee-ness of this is generated by my mind. The usefulness of this in the printer, making it have value, generated by my mind. So let's just stop there for a moment. And when we're doing analytic meditation, we're just questioning, how does meaning and value arise? How does the mind even create the label paper? Naming it, identifying it, and then giving it some sort of value. We want to see how the mind creates the illusion, how paper becomes money. In our minds. Okay, we can sit with this for a few moments. So the process is, there's something in front of me. When and how does the mind make a label for it? What is before the label and what is after the label? And how is the mind generating the label? And how does the mind move beyond the label to something that causes suffering? In the sense of, let's say in the money, we can think of pieces of paper bringing us happiness, or the loss of the money. All paper. And using your shamatha, every time your mind starts to move to a different subject, coming back to labeling one simple object and giving it in an unquestioning way meaning, value, elaboration of how it's important to you, and then coming back to before you labeled it. So this is a way of using our intellect to dispel our intellect. So I could take this down to a local store and say, this is $20, and they would laugh. I could take this to the same store and say, I want $10 worth of stuff. And they would say, well, that's not American money, that's Canadian money. For this to have any monetary value, there would have to be a whole set of causes and conditions arising. I could take this to Canada and it would be laughed at, but if I had the causes and conditions to be in a Canadian store with this Canadian piece of paper, then there would be value. In any case, looking at all these different sets of causes and conditions, there's no moneyness that can be found or touched. It's only causes and conditions coming together. There's not a findable inherent moneyness in this $10 bill. And it's we could go deeper and deeper into it, is it the ink, is it the mark, where is the moneyness in this $10 bill? So this is another kind of Vipassana meditation on all the causes and conditions coming together in dependent origination. So if it's built on an understanding initially of impermanence and the Four Noble Truths, then we can start to apply how the Four Noble Truths operate in the situation of causes and conditions and afflictive emotions causing us suffering. Okay, I'm going to stop the live stream here.